This year in Munich, European leaders were feeling a little less out in the cold. The big gap between America and Europe remains on Ukraine and NATO defense spending.
Good to see you.
Last night, the American Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, met President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. On the agenda, the next round of US-brokered peace talks set to take place in Geneva next week. Despite the warmth from Rubio, his boss in Washington, President Trump, wants Zelenskyy to get moving on peace negotiations. But at the conference, other Republicans are trying to encourage the Trump administration to pressure Russia more and Ukraine less.
I think Putin is not ready to negotiate seriously. I think we made progress, but he believes he can take the Donbass over the range of time, and he's not going to stop until the pressure is more, not less.
The pressure, though, is not being felt in Moscow. This week alone, Russia has launched 1,300 drones and 50 ballistic missiles, according to President Zelenskyy. European leaders share Zelensky's fear that Russia is using the negotiation process to simply prolong the war.
The greatest threat Russia presents right now is that it gains more at the negotiation table than it has achieved on the battlefield.
But what real power does Europe have in deciding its own fate? I asked the Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper about the UK's role in a world dominated by superpowers.
Well, I think one of the things I've seen here at the Munich Security Conference is the leadership that Keir Starmer shows on the international stage at a time when there is such global instability, at a time when the peace dividend that we'd thought would be there after the Cold War has just gone. We're seeing this continued Russian aggression threat. We've also seen the US change their focus, still strong NATO allies, but recognising that Europe needs to do more for its own defence. That's one of the things that Keir Starmer has been leading, arguing for, working particularly with France and Germany, but also with our partners across Europe. It's those partnerships we build abroad that make us stronger at home.
Can Vladimir Putin be held accountable for Navalny's death, now we know with toxin poison?
Well, the Russian regime clearly wanted to silence Alexei Navalny, and that's why we've now got this evidence of the lethal toxin that was found in his body at the time of his death. And only the Russian regime had both the motives, the means, and also the opportunity to use this lethal poison against him. That is why, as a group of European allies, we have now reported this to the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. For us, this is a clear breach of the chemical weapons rules, and that's why we want accountability for this.
We've obviously seen similar poisoning incidents on British soil. Are you worried that incidents like these could happen again?
I do think we have seen a growing hybrid threat from Russia, their aggression, their willingness to use lethal toxins that we saw in Salisbury on our own soil. We've seen too in the case of Alexei Navalny. We've also seen, of course, their aggression towards Ukraine. And we need to ensure that we are ready to work with our European partners and our NATO allies to respond to all forms of Russian aggression as we see it.